This new Gladiator High Tide is a really cool, affordable package on the Gladiator. I'll include a link to the Jeep and Sandy's website in the description down below. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Powering the High Tide is a 3.6-liter V6. It goes through an 8-speed. It produces 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy 17 around town, 22 on the highway. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now we'll focus on the High Tide items. First off is the decal here on the side of the hood. And then pretty much all new Gladiators and Wranglers now have some blacked out elements on the front grille. This does come with the standard plastic bumper, but it does look pretty sharp. Now our tire wheel setup is 255 by 75 by 17. We've got mud terrain tires with this High Tide package. This also has the body painted fender flares as well as fixed side steps. Even the hard top is painted to match too. So when you add those elements together and the mud terrain tires, it gives us a more premium appearance. When it comes to key fob features, this actually has remote start built in with the lock and unlock too, and then you've got, of course, the Jeep logo, but it's nice it has a remote start. Now one thing that is a little bit sad is, well, tailgate's dampened and it has LED lights. Those aren't sad, but what is sad is no bed liner. That would be nice to have. And then it does have the more baseline taillights, but you've got another cool High Tide decal. So far with the exterior, this has, like I said, a more premium appearance. Let's check out the interior. Nice bronze stitching here on the side. Premium seats here in the rear, so you got the nice leather trim, some more bronze stitching. And the rear passengers do have vents as well as their own window controls. Keyless entry up front. More bronze stitching on the front door panel. And you get those nice upgraded seats for the front passenger. And also the seat's power adjustable with lumbar support. The passenger seat's also power adjustable with lumbar support. Let's start her up. Now this comes with niceties like adaptive cruise control. You've got the upgraded gauge cluster, the new larger screen that's standard across all Wranglers and Gladiators, as well as dual zone climate, heated seats, and a heated steering wheel, and it even has the off-road cruise control feature. We also have 4 auxiliary switches, which is always a nice upgrade. No lockers or anything, but it does have a part-time 4-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case. And more bronze stitching across the dash. Also, a hardtop obviously as we saw earlier, but no insulation. Now like I said, the pricing's not too bad on this Gladiator. It's built off of a Sport. The High Tide package itself is $5,700. Total MSRP on this is $49,555. Let's see how the High Tide performs with these mud terrain tires. Gladiator High Tide. This is kind of like sorry, excuse me, it's hot today. Competition for the Willys. Because the Willys has really cool looks, but it's more expensive for fewer features, and it's because you're paying for more off-road capability. This package is the mall crawler. This is, I want the cool looks, I want the nice features, but I don't want it to be crazy expensive. So it makes sense why they built it off of a Sport. Now, mud terrain tires. There is definitely a downside when it comes to the ride quality of mud terrain tires. They kind of chunk at the road, and so you feel it as you're coming up to a stop. You feel it over the little things in the pavement. So it's very noticeable. But overall, the suspension dampening with these modern Jeeps is actually really good. And, you know, for a solid axle vehicle, the handling is good. And the steering is actually pretty darn direct. You guys know I've been long-term testing an Ineos Grenadier, and I like the recirculating ball rack on that thing. It's really unique in terms of the feel. Makes you feel like you're driving an old-school vehicle. But the lack of directness is pretty big. It's very noticeable. Very, very noticeable. So these seats are comfortable. These are nice. Glad that Jeeps, and this makes sense because the High Tide is kind of also like a beach package. So that is funny. Sorry, I'm gonna mention this in the video. I'm not being judgmental. People watch. Everyone people watches. You got a Hyundai and the lady just pulls out a cigarette and she's smoking windows. Oh, actually, maybe she has her window down. No, she's got windows up. Windows up. She's going hard. She's living her best life, folks. Now the V6 obviously is not a rocket ship by any means, but it can get out of its own way. It would, I mean, we all know we want more engine for the Gladiator, so I'm not gonna beat on that point too much because I've talked about it plenty. But it would be nice, especially considering what the competition's offering. Like, it's not bad, but you know, you've got over 400 pound-feet of torque with the Colorado. Tacoma, you can get it with over 400 pound-feet of torque now. The Ranger, you can get it with like 400 pound-feet if you get the 2.7. Ranger Raptor obviously has more, but it's a specialty item. So yeah, the point that I'm trying to make is this isn't bad at all, but I wouldn't mind more power. I don't think you guys would mind more power either. Yeah, you really do feel, especially at low speeds, you really feel the mud terrains. Like when you're up and moving at, let's say above like 30, the mud terrains kind of just disappear. I mean, you hear them, but like the chunking at the road kind of disappears. But once you're below that 30 mile an hour range, you're like, here it feels fine. I hear them, but it feels fine. Yeah, once I go below, I really start to feel that. The one thing I do find interesting about this is, to my knowledge, mud terrains actually aren't all that good in sand because they dig into the ground quite a bit. And so again, this is supposed to be the High Tide, it's supposed to be like the beach package, but it would probably be less capable than if you had all-terrain tires on it. So just an interesting I'm parked over there, I forgot. Or this was parked over there. Just an interesting observation. So I think Jeep needs to do more packages like this. And again, gosh, all they need to do is just a powertrain. If they change the powertrain in the Gladiator, I think with the improvements that they've made to the Wrangler and the Gladiator over the years, like especially the 24 Plus with the better insulation, it's a much more daily drivable vehicle. It's really impressive what Jeep has been able to do with a solid axle, body on frame, convertible. Like, this should not drive as well as it drives. It should not be as comfortable as it is and handle as well as it does, considering everything that it is. Again, my Ineos Grenadier really shows that, because they like focused on making that old school, and it's like, man, yeah, you can tell it's body on frame, you can tell it's solid axle, you can tell it's not a convertible, but you know, that car doesn't have a lot of sound deadening. You really hear the mechanical stuff, which is actually kind of cool. So let me know what you guys think about the High Tide package in the Gladiator. Oh, I guess the last thing, so when they did this in the Wrangler, they offered it with 35s. Jeep, why are you sleeping on 35s in the Gladiator? This is one thing I do not understand. I am so bad at parking. Good thing I'm not a lot tech. I'd get fired on day one. This is one thing that I just don't understand, why Jeep won't put a more powerful engine in the Gladiator, and they won't put 35s. It's like, why are you leaving that to the customers? Man, if they just did those two things, these things would fly off the shelf.